Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vance.
I'm the goddamn Vince Goodwin.
We've got Chris.
Damn you and your lemonade.
I'm Kia, and we have a special extra friend on the show coming back to the podcast after about a year. It is our good friend Nick. Hi, Nick. Welcome.
I haven't kissed a smoker in weeks.
That's true of me too, actually. Welcome to the show. So, longtime listeners of the show will remember Nick from the first time we read the comic we are reading today. We read about a year ago All-Star Batman and Robin by Frank Miller and Jim Lee, which is definitely one of the worst comics we've read on this show. Top 5 without a doubt. And we only read the first 6 issues because that's kind of like the bunch that kind of all came out at once, right? But there were 4 more issues. This thing went till issue number 10. We thought we'd read the last 4 issues finally, and so we invited Nick back onto the show. He was happy enough to accept. Nick, how much have you been thinking about All-Star Batman and Robin during this entire year?
All the time, every day. This is actually, I realized, so I mentioned on the last episode that I bought the first 8 issues, physical copies of them, which I still have, but I didn't read the last 2 because, like everyone else on the planet, I lost interest, even on an ironic way. I lost interest. So this is a treat because I actually got to finally finish this series that didn't really finish.
It didn't finish at all.
Yeah, I think like I bought it and also similarly didn't read it. I don't know if it was just like at the point I'd forgotten it existed and it showed up in my pull list, and I felt bad telling my comic guy like, no, I don't want this. So I just paid the $3 or $4 and took it off their hands because I definitely never had read any of this, but I own it. I remember the Joker Dragon of Dojima cover where he's got the big like dragon tattoo on his back.
I hadn't seen that at all. That thing, like,
it's like right out of Yakuza.
Yeah, I wrote down Yakuza, and that was it. Yep. And I want to talk a little bit more about the history of this book and its publication. Sure. Also, I should also mention after we talk about All-Star Batman and Robin, we are continuing our long read of Batman Knightfall. So we have some like actual Batman comics coming up after this. So stick around after that. We'll talk about that. But yeah, so I kind of alluded to how the first 6 issues started to have some delays at the end of them here. What did the publication history look like for these last 4?
So these are actually relatively consistent. So the book started in 2005. And then took about like 3 months in between a few issues. And then between issues 4 and 5, it was exactly a year. And then issue 6 picked up about 3 months later. So that brings us to about, I want to say 2007 without looking at my notes. And then this came out pretty much 4 issues, like every 3 or 4 months, for a year. So this only took like a year to go through this part, but clearly like it was meant to be like compete with the Ultimate line, which now is quite defunct, which was kind of like a easy jumping on point for readers that worked really well for the Marvel universe with like Ultimate Spider-Man. It really paved like the template for what the movies would be, because obviously like there's decades of continuity for all these comic companies. It's like, okay, so just here's a on the ground floor X-Men, here's a ground floor on the ground floor Avengers book, here's a on the ground floor like Spider-Man book, and then we read All-Star Superman. DC was trying to do the same thing. Like, this is just a clean Superman story. And then Batman and Robin was going to be a clean story. It's going to be written by Frank Miller. Frank Miller, of course, is a legend. He created Elektra for Daredevil, helped make Daredevil what he is today. He wrote The Dark Knight Returns. He wrote Batman Year One, one of those comics that we really, really love. So Frank Miller wrote Sin City. I think Sin City had probably just come out as a movie around this time. And so Frank Miller's really, really big. So put him on like a clean, like jumping on point for Batman, or like a good Batman story you can buy at a Borders or a Barnes and Noble, and then put Jim Lee, DC's like #1 artist, and it makes sense, right? And then we forgot that Frank Miller had turned into a bad writer.
I appreciate you referencing Borders throughout all that. You really don't have to do that anymore, though. Thank you. But
The borders are closed.
Are we a podcast without borders now? So
yeah. So I do want to just kind of recap the first 6 issues before we jump into 7 through 10. I can't imagine it's going to take us too much time to talk about 7 through 10. So we've got the time.
I think 3 issues were a car ride, as I recall.
That car ride was very long, though.
Yeah, that's the main thing I remember from those first 6 is that Batman kidnaps Robin. Robin shows up on milk cartons while they're still in the Batmobile. That's the main thing that I remember.
Wakes up the next morning and sees that Robin has been kidnapped, but Dick Grayson has been kidnapped by Batman, but the drive is still going on. So the continuity is all weird.
Yeah. It's very weird. Nick, what do you remember from the first 6?
Yeah, I do remember the longest car ride in the world. Black Canary shows up at some point. Yeah, Superman. You mentioned that.
They call her Love Chunks, as I recall.
Right.
Oh boy.
A term that bikers are always using.
Yep.
Yep. And Dick Grayson is trapped in the Batcave for apparently across this, because when I picked this back up at issue 7, I'm like, God, he's still in the Batcave.
He's still in the Batcave.
Yeah, so my memories of it were like functionally it was a poorly told story because it seemed like Batman spent a lot of time just like in a car ride, like 3 issues, and then he dumped Robin in the Batcave while Batman went to go do like other things for 2 issues. Or maybe even like 3 or 4 now. So like the idea of Batman and Robin, they're not on together screen at all. You're not really seeing like Robin have like an origin through 6 issues. He's just hanging out in a cave, like scared. Batman is super like performative, like fascistic, like real crazy about loving the violence he's committing on these criminals here, which kind of gets us to here. And then focus wise, it would have like a Black Canary cliffhanger and then not pick up with Black Canary for like 2 issues. It would focus on Black Canary for like half an issue and then focus on Batgirl for half an issue. And like Jim Gordon was cheating on his wife. It was a mess. Just like not what you would want.
That was.
Right.
Jim Gordon was cheating on his wife. Okay. That's kind of all right. We'll talk about that later when we get to it.
Right. But it like as far as like a Frank Miller and Jim Lee writing a Batman and Robin out of continuity story, it really wasn't giving any readers what they wanted. On top of it taking like literal years between issues.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we know enough to go into All-Star Batman and Robin issue number 7 here.
Will they write the course on the issues we never read? We'll find out.
We'll see. All right. So issue number 7 starts for a few pages with Batman just joyfully taking down a bunch of thugs. He loves it. He is just sadistic. He's calling them cockroaches, saying he's going to step on them hard, get rid of them and everything. Black Canary is watching him fight. And she loves it. She's getting wet just looking at him, and she's like awestruck at the goddamn Batman. And she's thinking it in the captions, like in the first issues when we read like, "I'm the goddamn Batman." Like, okay, that's a funny joke. But like everyone refers to him as the goddamn Batman. And she's
it's like The Wire with like shit scene.
Shit.
I couldn't tell how this was written. Like, I assume Frank Miller just wrote this all in one go, but the amount of time between issues leads me to enter the possibility that the goddamn Batman thing like became such a meme that he started leaning into it in later issues.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Lee is slow, but I don't think he takes like 4 years to draw.
I feel like Miller was the problem here, not.
And I'm imagining some editorial conflict as well. Like we have some moments throughout this where there's a lot of editors, and it's like we can't show you this. Like
those clearly, are fake editors' notes. Though.
I know, but I feel like they're only fake editors' notes because Frank Miller really did want to include stuff in there, and they were all like, no, so he put a fake editor's note in there.
Well, that one was definitely the case because there was one where I think we thought that maybe Superman slapped Wonder Woman or something in the previous episode.
Yeah.
And then that was clearly like a weird panel edit that they tried to fix like in post that didn't really work.
Yeah, I do remember this vaguely. Wonder Woman is referenced, but not in this book.
Right.
Not at all.
Oh, and also around this time, Frank Miller is directing The Spirit, which came out in 2008. So that also may be some of the reasons why this is so slow.
Which is weird because the Spirit is great, but this is bad.
What was the Spirit good? I don't know movies enough to know if you're being sarcastic.
For 90% of the viewing audience, no, the Spirit was not good.
Okay,
I thought it was entertaining. Trash.
Cool. I might have to watch it sometime.
Nick and Chris, editor's note: Nick and Chris host a bad movie podcast called Your Stupid Minds. They have not covered. They have not covered the movie The Spirit as a podcast episode, but they have covered it as an article on the website.
Yes.
Maybe this. Okay. All right. I gave a terrible introduction. I know Nick is only famous for having been on one episode of our show here. Okay? Not for having his own podcast. Come on. What's the name of that podcast? Just in case some people out there don't know.
Let me look it up. Your Stupid Minds.
It's a good one. We talk about it all the time on this show. They should know. All right, so Black Canary in the middle of this fight has got the hots for Batman. She runs up to him in what seems like the middle of the fight, but I guess it's right after the last mook gets knocked down. She gives him a big old kiss, and Batman's like, "All right, let's just go with this. Let's keep our mask on. It's better that way." His detective mode is identifying that she's a smoker, and Nick's quote, "I haven't kissed a smoker in weeks, not since Selena." Oh my goodness, drama. Then he offers her a ride home because it's raining, and she starts giving him shit for A, having a car and not flying, B, for calling it the Batmobile because that's a very queer name. There's a lot of references to queer stuff in this book, and it's very weird.
Yeah, this was the mid 2000s when this was okay, I guess. I mean, it wasn't.
I don't know.
It wasn't okay, but it was a reality. I guess.
The first sentence of the first Fast and Furious movie starts with somebody calling somebody FAG. So we're at that point.
Okay. Yep.
After Obama was elected president and passed the super bad law that you're not allowed to use casual slurs anymore.
Yes.
Ruined America. Ruined America. Ruined comics.
They could never make this comic today.
I hope they don't.
Should. Batman, those are different questions.
Yeah. Batman does have a good line about his car where he says, "I'm the goddamn Batman, and I can call my goddamn car whatever the hell I want to call it." He's starting to get very pissy a little bit here in this issue. But on the drive home, Batman's like telling her to talk. She talks too much and that she needs to shut up. But then he's thinking about her and he's like, okay, she's got an Irish accent. She's too cheeky for her own good, which I can't imagine Batman would think. Like in those words, you know what I mean? But, she's got a right to say whatever she wants. And then I don't think they see each other for the rest of this comic. Am I mistaken? I think that's it. That's it for the relationship of Black Canary and Batman.
Black Canary doesn't show up again until that absolute mess of I don't even know what the hell was going on in that scene with Batgirl.
Well, I'm not even sure it was a scene with Batgirl. Is how much of a mess it was.
Yeah, were they even in the same? I don't even know.
I couldn't tell. Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was two back-to-back scenes. Yeah, we'll get there. All right.
But from a storytelling standpoint, like the parts of Batman's armor like are starting to come through in the captions. Where like, oh, he is like self-aware. Like he's not literally just like this crazy sadistic man that like starts off the captions. Like there are like shades of like self-awareness that like maybe I'm crazy here. Or being a little much, but then he like doubles right back onto it. So
yeah.
This is why I think Frank Miller basically like retconned this into being like, oh no, this was a joke the whole time,
right?
Type of thing. Like this is like Tommy Wiseau being like, oh, everyone laugh at my movie. It's a dark comedy now.
Yeah. It's a mess.
And I'm not positive that it wasn't meant to be a comedy at the start, but it definitely didn't come off that way. I do feel like these back 4 issues lean into it in a way that makes it clearer, which I appreciate. I think already, based on this, I'm like, it feels better than the first 6. Just having him kind of recognize that.
And even if it's supposed to be a comedy, you have Jim Lee drawing it, so don't worry. There are like hot babes like falling out of this book in every issue.
Yes, constantly. Just for no reason at all. Just draw a hot babe in there. So Robin wakes up now in the Batcave. It's pitch black in there. He's got no idea how long he's even been in the Batcave.
Which is good, but we don't either.
We don't either. He's got an axe there, and he uses it to kill this rat because he can't stand the squeaking anymore. And then I think he eats it too, right? Because he's hungry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all over his mouth.
Yeah, because I think the Batman was like, I did this. That's why we got to teach him this way. And Alfred's like, this is fucked up, man.
Just let him sleep upstairs in the mansion. But then Batman shows up and he has captured the person who killed Robin's parents. Jocko Boy, I think is his name. And he's got him like tied up, duct tape on his mouth and everything, drops him on the floor and gives Robin the decision. What are you going to do with him? Are you an Avenger or a detective?
Oh. Shots fired at Marvel.
Yeah,
100%. Is that even allowed?
Yeah, you're gonna sign up with Captain America or something?
Wow. But I do like that
the Avengers known for just ruthlessly murdering people.
Yeah.
That's what they do, right? That's the Marvel universe compared. Yeah.
It's also such a weird dichotomy between those two things. Like they don't feel like opposite ends of the spectrum. You could be both. You can avenge while you detect, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
No. In detective mode in Arkham Asylum, you're not allowed to do any combat.
That's true.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yep.
I didn't realize Frank Miller had played it.
He played an early build because it wasn't out yet. But
I see.
And when he was using that thermite on those guys, he was trying to get a gadget bonus. That's what was.
So Robin is holding this axe, deciding what to do. He brings it down. You're meant to think like, oh my God, he killed the guy, brought it down on his head. But he just brought it down over his mouth and cuts the tape open.
Is that what he's doing? I thought it was. I had to read this like 3 times because I'm like, this is not a clear image, because usually you'll have the like like the shoot your gun in the air and go kind of scene where he doesn't kill him, or it's like very obvious like he was like 5 inches off. But the first panel is like there's blood splattering right by the guy's mouth and nose. I'm like, did Dick Grayson just cut this guy's mouth open?
He cut the mouth, like he sliced the mouth just a little bit. Like he didn't mean to, but he's still a kid and he's a little bit sloppy and he kind of nicked him. But he was, I think, just trying to get the tape open. Maybe he didn't care if he nicked him a bit, you know?
It's a weird panel choice. Like Jim Lee is better than this in sequential art. He should like either make a choice and make it clear one way or the other.
Yeah.
Do you think that cliche that you mentioned, Vince, of somebody having to make a choice whether to kill someone or not, and they go like and then it's not clear because it's off frame,
right.
It's out of frame whether they did it or not. Has there ever been a situation where someone did that and they did in fact murder the person?
I feel like I have seen it. I don't know where though. Jeez.
No, if they do, it's usually them like and then doing like 20 punches in a row, like a lot of. It'd be like a lot of hacking, not like one single slice.
Yeah, it's usually a long shot. It's a wide shot where they like get decapitated.
Right.
So you can see it in silhouette.
Yeah. Yeah, have they ever done that where they go, and you're not sure, and then the guy's like, you didn't have the guts, and then start walking away, and then half their head falls off?
like in Resident Evil with like the laser squares?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, only in anime, Chris. And they would either be sliced in half, or like an artery would hit and they'd start spraying out like a nicked garden hose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they've done that in Star Wars with a lightsaber. I feel like that would work. Pretty easy.
Yeah, maybe they have a Kill Bill style death in Star Wars.
Maybe. I haven't seen them. How am I supposed to know? All right. So Robin asks a bunch of... No, I will not. Robin starts questioning this guy. Actually, first he starts kicking him a bunch and saying, yeah, you'll talk when I want you to talk, all that kind of stuff. Batman just kind of sits back. He's enjoying this. But Robin asks, hey, who hired you? And Jocko Boy answers, but Batman doesn't like the answer. And they don't tell us who it is, but there is a big to be continued page with a playing card of the Joker.
Joker. So, it's going to be Joker.
Probably that guy.
Going to be the Joker. Joker hired this guy to kill Robin's parents for some reason that we will never find out.
This is after Batman Begins, right? Because that was 2004.
Yeah, so it ended on a card with Gordon, right?
That's true. Yeah,
it Begins with 05. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got an air for the theatrical, like you.
Oh, I see. Yes. So issue number 8 opens with first this cover is the one we were talking about with the Joker with a big Yakuza back tattoo of a dragon. It looks unnatural. It looks wrong, but I kind of love it.
I think it hits better now in 2023 for me than it did in 2008 or 2007, whenever this came out.
It's because you've played the Yakuza games.
I played the Yakuza games. I think tattoos. I also like look at like stuff like tattoos were not as big back then. Like people didn't have like nearly as many tattoos when this issue came out as like now. So like the idea that Joker has like a giant tattoo would be like, that's weird for me back then. And now I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't like him having like Jared Leto having like the word damaged literally written above his
yeah, I was about to say you've gotten 10 years of experience of the Joker having stupid tattoos.
Yeah, so a decent tattoo. Yeah,
yeah, a decent tattoo with like good line work. I'm like, all right, finally, fucking
yeah.
I do like this cover. I think we talked about this last year, but he's wiping blood off of his hand using Batman's cowl. This never happens. This doesn't happen. Batman? In this issue, it doesn't happen in any of the issues.
No,
like he doesn't meet Batman.
He meets Catwoman.
Yeah, yeah, but maybe it might have happened if they had kept going. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe that's in issue 12 or something.
Yeah,
that doesn't exist.
It's possible. It's possible. We can pretend. So the Joker, this version of the Joker is also, just brace yourself, way crueler, I think, than previous iterations.
Cooler, you mean?
I don't know. So he's just woken up from a one-night stand with someone who doesn't even know his name.
Weirdly, the first introduction panel looks a lot like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, which is not going to come out for like 11 years. It's just like the hair length, the way his facial expressions are, the kind of like gaunt skin. I'm like, oh, this looks exactly like Joaquin Phoenix to me, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah, Kia, this isn't your daddy's Joker. He fucking kills people.
Oh man,
he fucking kills people. Yeah, keep in mind this was 2007, the height of the serial killer phase.
Yeah.
Dexter was all over.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah.
I do like Joker with the dragon tattoo.
Exactly.
Oh my god. I do like the font they use for the Joker's captions when he's talking about the city and how much he loves it or whatever he's saying about it. I like it. I don't know. I just like a deranged font. I'm always a fan.
Good job, Jared K. Fletcher.
Yeah, thank you for looking that up. And he's talking to this lady who's like, I don't even get your name. And he's like, I'm the Joker. She's like, the Joker? Oh, wait, wasn't there some guy calling himself the Joker who poisoned the water supply a year back? And he was like, yeah, that was me. I was just getting started. But hey, let's talk about you, Donna Gugina. And she's not taken aback by him knowing her full name at all yet. But she's like, hey, I know you're an attorney. You're incredibly successful. You brought down a lot of terrible people, all that. And I've chosen you specifically because there's a lot of people who are going to miss you. And she's like, hey, how do you know my name? And
incredible impression of Donna.
Thank you. We didn't hear her voice because it's a book. But he punches her and like chokes her out dead. And then the next panel is the one where I needed to take a break for a second because he puts on his purple pinstripe suit. He walks out of the room and he tells his assistant to get rid of the body.
Just a normal assistant, right?
His assistant. Oh my god.
She was in the 60s Batman.
Was she? Yeah, I think she was. It's this big butch blonde lady with like a military haircut, leather pants, long leather gloves, topless with swastika pasties over her tits. I wrote "fuck you, Frank Miller," Jesus Christ, and I just walked away from
you're betting this is a Frank Miller choice, not a Jim Lee choice.
100%. You know
100%.
what? I don't know enough about Jim Lee to say that it's not a Jim Lee choice, but I do know enough about Frank Miller to say that it is a Frank Miller choice.
Yeah, I mean, Nick and I both read the captions in issue 1 with Vicky Vale. I'm going to say it's Frank Miller.
Yeah. Also, how did the Joker set up this murder? He supposedly seduced this woman.
Yeah.
Did he drug her?
Even though he's a pasty white evil clown
who is calling himself the Joker?
Calling himself the Joker.
He probably like had a cool car with some cool speakers, and she was like, "Hey."
As a district attorney or an ADA or whatever,
she was. She's just like, "Oh, hey." And then he probably had like a bumper sticker that said like honk if you love Pedro Pascal. And she was like, I do love Pedro Pascal. And that's how he got
Well,
her.
if she loves Pedro Pascal, she wouldn't be into the Joker. They're opposite types.
And Kia, don't sell this image of Joker wearing his pinstripe suit with the woman with swastika pasty short. You can also see the bra and shirtless dead woman. Like, don't worry, they sexualized her a ton in Death. This murder victim.
I could believe this hookup a little more if this was maybe like, I don't know, a woman who wasn't the most attractive woman in the world. But Jim Lee just can't help himself. This woman has to be the most attractive woman ever, and she is pretty into this psychotic clown, at least up until the moment that he murders her.
Yeah. Honestly, it felt like just even right up until even after he said her name, she still wasn't batting an eye. She was like, "Oh, just interested to hear more about what he had to say."
Yeah, I guess she was drugged, supposedly.
She said, I was just joking when I thought you put something in my drink, is what she said. So I was like, was she joking? I don't know. I also thought that maybe before he murdered her, that they were maybe sending her up to be a Harley Quinn, because they changed the name of Black Canary also. Her name's not Dinah in this. So I was like, maybe this is a new origin for a Harley Quinn.
And they made her Irish for whatever reason.
Right. It was.
Yeah, they made Black Canary Irish. Weird.
Yeah, with like a different name.
Yeah, and then don't do an Irish accent, except when she says like one line or two, that she'll say something Irishy, and then everything else is just like, well, I don't understand. Why would Batman do this? Why would he need a car?
But anyways, that assistant's only on one page.
Yeah, and then that's it. Never hear her
I
name.
hope she got more than like a day rate for that, because she didn't have a. Did she have a line at least? Yeah, she had one. Okay,
she had lots of lines.
So
Jim Lee
she
had to draw them.
Okay.
Ew.
But
all right. So where are we at now? So Robin, back to the Batcave. Robin has learned that the Joker, called the shot to kill his parents, and Robin is asking Batman about who the Joker is, and Batman, tells some generic stuff about him, and Robin's like, all right, so you don't know shit. I think he says you don't know squat. Actually, he doesn't curse. Batman is gonna go out and start hunting him down, and Robin wants to come, but Batman says nope, you can't. You don't have a mask, you're not trained, you got to protect your identity, all that kind of stuff. It's like, I think this is another a lot of queer talk from Robin, saying no, just bad mouthing queers throughout all this.
I mean, he is 12 in 2007.
You're right. It's more fair coming from him. Yeah.
But he does, like, they do lampshade a lot of the things that I'm asking questions. Like Robin goes, why do I need a secret identity? How can I have a secret identity when everyone on Earth saw you kidnap me? Are they going to kind of know who I am? Like, and Batman's like, I'm going to figure something out. I'll be fine.
I like how he does it. It feels like Frank Miller talking in that line. Like, I haven't figured out how to explain this yet, but I'll come up with something in the next issue.
I think yes.
I've got 6 months. I'll do it.
So Batman leaves. He's driving along. He's kind of questioning why he's even acting like a father, and he was like, have I ruined this kid's life by kidnapping him here? He's driving along. I kind of thought somebody like shot at his car or something, but he's just blinded by a big Green Lantern symbol in the sky. And he stops the car by a lake, and he drops Jocko Boy's body in the lake.
And gave him like a fear toxin, or gave him mushrooms or something.
Yeah, Jocko Boy is like, why are there maggots in my ears and my mouth? And he's like, oh, because you're high and it's permanent and that feeling is never going away. Welcome to hell. And Batman's like, damn, that was a good one. I kind of got him good with that. And this is where we get the editor's note. We can't show you Jocko's response. What? All right. Fine.
The response demands an anatomical impossibility, which has never stopped me from that. That's not the reason you would edit the line.
Now I'm imagining what kind of a response to that statement would Jocko Boy give while in the water and like tied up? That's an anatomical possibility.
Is it just like fuck you? You can't fuck yourself?
Yeah, fuck yourself.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very boring. It's very boring.
I thought the description was that Jocko Boy was doing some physical motion to taunt Batman, and that's what they couldn't draw.
He had a rib removed so he could suck his own dick despite Batman.
Hey, that's the narrator.
Despite Batman.
Editor's caption fault.
The ultimate disrespect.
Yeah, you thought you were getting rid of me in the water, but now I'm sucking my own dick, Batman. You don't have shit on me.
He's treading water while doing it too. You gotta respect it.
So Robin, meanwhile, back in the Batcave, he's looking at all this cool stuff that's there, all these weapons, and he grabs a bow and arrow, and he has like an image of Robin Hood in his head, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, that's cool." And Alfred walks in. Robin has met Alfred before, right?
He didn't know his name, but yeah, he gave him a burger.
Yeah, and Robin starts thinking like a detective. He's like, that's a British accent, upper class, gotta be from South Kensington.
That's where I lived when I lived in England. I lived in South Kensington.
What the fuck does Robin know about South Kensington?
Where Harry and Meghan live. Okay.
Why? Does he know that? He's a 12-year-old boy. He doesn't know this shit. He can't place British accents.
The circus went to South Kensington.
I guess it did. Jeez, all right.
They play Royal Albert Hall. The Flying Graysons played Royal Albert Hall right after the Spice Girls in Spice World. It was a
Wait a minute. Is Ultimate Gotham set in England?
Oh. Right.
Black Canary's Irish.
Yeah, from... We don't know.
It could
be. Oi, I'm the goddamn Batman.
Sounded kind of New Zealandy a little.
Yeah,
it's a little south of the border. Crikey, I'm the Batman.
That's not a Batman. This is a Batman.
They should
do South Kensington.
How is there no Batman Australia yet? That'd be good. All right, so Alfred walks in and Robin has determined where he's from. Great, nice job, Robin. And he asks for tights and a mask and a cape and a hood. All right. Batman, meanwhile, is monologuing on his way up to this light. He drops the R word in reference to the Joker as well. Like, geez, Batman. He goes to meet Hal Jordan at the top of this building, and he's asking, like, what do you want? And Batman is like, he spent a lot of time talking about how it's a waste that this guy's got a ring. He doesn't even know what to do with it.
He calls him a moron like 5 times.
He does. He's not very polite. And Hal Jordan's like, hey, I just want to talk. And Batman says, all right, I'll tell you where and when I'll talk to you. And he gives him an address in Crime Alley, and he says, be there in 12 hours. He leaves, and Hal Jordan's like, what a creep. I don't like that guy. Like, all right, great. Joker, meanwhile, goes to visit Selina,
East
Catwoman.
End, which London does have.
I think this is in England. All right. They, if it was in England, they should have said something.
Gotham
Joker,
City, USA.
Yeah. So Joker goes to visit Catwoman, and she's like, I'm not really into you. And he's like, but I'm just getting up to some mischief. And she goes, ooh, I'm all ears. Which, okay, that was enough to convince her, I guess.
She pointed at her ears. That's clever.
Oh, yeah. Batman heads back to the Batcave. He meets up with Robin, who's all in costume. Robin kind of surprises him by shooting an arrow at him, but you can't get Batman like that. He catches it. And Batman is like, no. This hood is shit. Let me show you why. And he just pulls it down over his face. He's like, any bad guy could do this to you. You're stupid, Robin. He says, lose the hood. You're Robin. And you know what? I kind of like that. I kind of liked it a lot.
Is Frank Miller calling out the Hood, Brian K. Vaughan's character, right now?
I mean, that character does suck. So.
But I think it is just more like a fun origin story for the name. I think taking inspiration from Robin Hood kind of makes sense,
Is Robin based on Errol Flynn's character, Robin Hood? Like, historically? I never even considered it.
I mean,
you would think Green Arrow is based on Robin Hood.
Yeah.
But even the name, like, I don't know. He never had a bow and arrow traditionally at all, right?
But he did have like the little costume with the 2 little strings at the top, which I don't know.
They're all Robin Hoodie. Yeah, that the green and yellow combo of the Adventures of Robin Hood.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I believe it. No, I think the Hood thing was Batman's dig at the hit NBC series, the Cape, is what I think.
6 seasons in a movie. Was that the show on Community that Abed was all about?
Yes,
I think it was. Yeah, I forgot about that. It's so funny how I associate that more with Community than the. Well, I guess that's the point of it. Right?
Whenever I think of the Cape, I actually think of No Ordinary Family. Kia, that show, do you remember?
Oh, I love that show. It was only 1 season. Damn, it was good though.
It had Vic Mackey from The Shield as like the lead of it. Yeah, that was a good show.
It was like a Fantastic Four story, but like kind of shitty, where you didn't like anybody in the family, but the side characters were cool. All right. So I think is that the end of this issue?
Yep.
That is the end of this issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 issues left.
Jumping into issue number 9, there is a huge tonal shift with this issue, I think. It is mostly about this meeting between Batman and Hal Jordan. Batman has painted a room yellow. It's one of his like secret crime rooms, like secret what do they call it?
He called it that.
Like,
something like a hideaway.
A hideaway or whatever. He does also mention like I won't miss this one.
Safe house.
It's the
that's
cheap,
the word.
the safe house. Thank you. He's like I won't miss this one. It's the cheapest one I have. And he has made Robin paint the whole thing yellow to counteract Hal Jordan's stupid weakness, who Batman comments on.
So I know that Green Lantern has a weakness to the color yellow.
Yeah.
Is this also so Hal Jordan can't like pick up a chair with his power, like a yellow chair, and fly it at them or something? Is that what we're okay?
Yeah.
He can't control the color yellow.
Okay.
That's just how it works.
He could manifest like a green hammer or something and hammer them, but
it would have no effect because it's yellow.
Yeah, it would just either go right through it. The hammer
Batman's
would crumble.
Painted fully yellow in this issue.
Yes. He's painted himself fully yellow. He's serving lemonade, which I thought was going to be like poisoned lemonade with how much Batman was like, don't you want some lemonade? But no, it's not. It's just straight up lemonade. Like he's actually trying to be a good host.
It's not like kryptonite where it like makes him ill. He just has no ability to affect it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
he's still a guy who can drink lemonade.
He could punch a dude painted yellow if he really wanted
to. He does.
Nope.
He does.
Oh, you're right. He does. But his powers have no effect. Yes. But Batman he's got everything is yellow. He's got yellow plates with some sort of yellow snack on them. It looks like corn. I'm guessing it's corn, but everything is painted yellow. That's the room.
The lemonade glass is painted like a translucent yellow.
Yeah, maybe he just got yellow cups. Who knows? It's very impressive. Honestly, it's very impressive they did this in 12 hours. And Batman makes reference to Robin's fast hands. He says that a lot.
Not okay.
Not okay.
Robin's even got a yellow ice cream cone. This is incredible.
It's all yellow. So Hal is talking to Batman. He wanted to talk to him because he's kind of complaining about his methods, saying, he's going too far to the extremes, kind of making the superhero community look bad. He calls Batman a criminal, and Batman's like, "Oh, we have to be criminals." So Hal punches him out, while Batman, while Robin stands in the back and he's just drinking the lemonade.
Panel of the week: Green Lantern gut punching Batman, saying "You son of a bitch," while Robin worries about dropping his lemonade. Yep. Panel of the week.
I mean, that's Batman's lemonade. He's catching it for him.
Yeah. He does also offer more lemonade to Green Lantern. Robin's being polite as well. Batman and Robin are also very much on the same page all of a sudden, like after the next few panels here. So Batman has where am I? Okay, Hal's like, okay, you kidnapped a boy. This is Dick Grayson, and both of them are like denying that this is Dick Grayson. Robin's really good at it too. He's like, what a rube. And the cover story they came up for is just that Dick Grayson gave a press conference afterwards. Like Batman admitted him into some psychiatric ward to like get help from everything he'd been through. And now the kid is out, and he thanked Batman for saving him.
I'm a big fan of this Gotham Gazette headline though, which is "Bat napped ... Not."
Not.
And then the subheadings are like Vicky Vale nearly killed obtaining photo by Flint Dillon.
I didn't see that.
It's amazing.
Man bites dog. Not.
And then it does the thing that I really hate, where it just literally puts a panel from a previous comic book inside the page. I hate that. Like, draw from another angle. The one, it's like
who took that picture?
I think it's the final page.
I guess it was
two.
Vicky Vale.
Yeah.
That's from issue 1 or 2. Yeah, when he's first catching him.
Oh, I see. That.
It's stupid.
Yeah,
and I do like the sub the article next to it that says Vicky Vale nearly killed obtaining photo.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So Hal is like thinking about all this as well, and he's like rubbing his chin, not realizing that he's gotten yellow on it. And like Batman and Robin are snickering to each other. Like, should we tell him? I'm not going to tell him. I'm not going to tell him.
They are very much together, and they're like they're like in the same panel together, like Riddler and Two-Face all over Batman Forever, like giggling together. It's
giggling. It's. I wonder how they got to this point. How much time has passed? They're very chummy. But Batman starts to tell this story like, actually, this is a kid who I've been training in the Himalayas or whatever, and like starting to tell a story. He's like, I can't do it. No, it's just some kid I know. And he's like, well, that's your story for it? Like, what? I don't know. He doesn't give a proper enough explanation, but Hal's really thinking about it. Meanwhile, Robin has pickpocketed Hal Jordan's ring, and they start fighting, and Batman's really impressed until Robin is kind of getting too wild, and he almost kills Hal Jordan. Batman has to pull him off and like punches Robin out, and he has to like get some medical stuff and like stab it into Hal Jordan's neck to save his life. It's like Robin really almost kills Hal Jordan. And for some reason, throughout all this, Batman has to take off his mask to be able to save Hal Jordan's life.
I was so confused about that.
Why? What was that all
I stared at that panel because it goes. Here's what we got. We got this splash page where Batman has his mask on, and then he gets a glass straw, and then the next panel, his mask is just off.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
He's got to focus. He's taking his mask off to focus.
He didn't do anything with the mask off that he couldn't do with the mask on, other than maybe it inhibits his vision a little bit, in which case, don't wear that mask.
I buy it. Don't wear that mask if that's going to cause you a problem. But two, like, I know that like when I'm at work and I'm like listening to music, sometimes I'll stop the music and take the headphones off to like focus on like an important thing to write.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is really dumb. But I get it.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's that dumb. It's like when you're looking for an address, you turn the music down in your car because it's not keeping you from looking, but you do need to like just be able to concentrate a little bit.
Yeah, you got to focus. Yeah, and Robin, I guess, learns for the first time that Bruce Wayne is Batman in that scene when he takes his mask off.
I could have swore he learned that at some point in the first 6 issues, but I guess not.
I thought he did. I really thought he did too. I mean, it's been 3 years. I don't remember.
And they didn't follow up with that statement at all. It's just a Robin caption. Actually, I thought it could have been a Hal Jordan caption at first, where Hal Jordan found out that Batman is Bruce Wayne. But it is a Robin caption. This is how I found out, and that's it. After this, Robin is thinking how he almost kind of liked almost killing somebody that he didn't know. And Batman is thinking, geez, I've really messed up this kid. I need to, get him on the right path. He needs to be on the path where Batman started. And that was with grieving. So I'm going to take him to his parents' grave and make him say goodbye.
I do like the self-awareness of this Batman. I do like the turning. It took fucking 9 issues to get here. But he's like, I had years to learn. I had gurus and Alfred. Like, I had years to learn every side of lethal power. And like, I'm trying to rush this kid like in 3 days. So like Batman's starting to have like this like self-awareness. It's all still in caption, so he won't admit it. I like this though. I would hesitate to say this is a good issue of this book.
I kind of agree, to be honest. I kind of agree.
Maybe I'm like beaten down that this like 1.5 star issue, when everything else has been a 0.5 star, is suddenly like good.
Right.
But
it's very, in comparison with everything else, it's like competent-ish, right?
Right.
I mean, 20 pages of it is a conversation and fight with Hal Jordan that ends with Robin almost killing Hal Jordan.
And then getting an emergency tracheotomy.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not a big fan of Hal Jordan, but I don't know what his character did to deserve this.
It is at least focused.
Yeah.
But it's weird because it's funny at the first half, and then he's like, "Oh no, he went too far."
What have I done? And
this
then
kid's fucked up.
And then that's like playing with your kid, and you're like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 10 pages ago, Robin was calling him a rube, and then it ends at his parents' grave.
Yep. Well, it's like when a teacher is too loose with the rules and the whole class is like having fun, but then that fun turns to chaos, right? And it's like the only way the teacher is going to be able to like take control of things is to like put his fucking foot down and say things are serious now, and that's what he had to do with Robin.
And then put him in a school bus and take him to their parents' grave.
Yes.
Yeah. And the teacher has to perform an emergency tracheotomy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I have a new kitten, so I know exactly how that is. I think we're just having fun. It's all fun and games, and then no, one of them kills one of the others, and I have to save the other's life.
Dark.
Wow. Very dark.
But and probably this is also because it's like going against all the problems I've had. This book, like I signed up for a Batman and Robin book. Why are we spending half of the page count on Black Canary? Like that's so far out of like the realm of like what and Love Chunks. Like that's not what I came here for.
Yep.
Well, don't worry, issue 10 is coming.
Yeah. So the final issue of this book,
it does not know it's a final issue. By the way.
Definitely does not know it's a final issue. It ends with a to be continued panel, but it is almost nothing to do with anything else we've talked about on the show yet. It is a very Jim Gordon centric issue with not much Batman in it. So Gordon is walking around in the middle of the night. He's kind of monologuing about Superman and how he's become this big famous hero in Metropolis. Lois Lane's doing interviews about him, and he's like, "Yeah, that guy is so like talkative and open about himself, but way like very different compared to Gotham's superhero." And he's out and about tonight because there is some cop that found Selina Kyle all beat up in an alley. She handed the officer a note on a piece of cardboard and said it needed to get to Batman. And she like disappeared into the sewers. The cop brought it to Jim Gordon. And so Jim Gordon is out and about taking care of this thing. It's like a note written in blood that doesn't make any sense, he says. And he's like, just from one crazy person to another, got nothing to do with me. He throws it in the river. But Batman and Robin are under the pier, and Batman has grabbed it, and the note says, "The first time," which, I wouldn't, as Jim Gordon said, I wouldn't describe this as a note that doesn't make any sense. Like it's just a phrase. I don't know. Seems like a weird thing to complain about. But this version of Jim Gordon is okay so far. I don't know. Is there anything to gain from these first few panels?
There's a lot of words. I started kind of getting a little bored. I'm like, it's like this. The city gets disrespectful. It's dark at night. Blah 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 blah. Like terrible, like noir writing. I'm like, this is boring. This is not Batman stuff. I'm kind of bored. So
it did go on a little long. It did.
Right.
Gordon gets back to the car. So his phone, I guess, was off, and his wife has called another officer. He says, "Hey, your wife's on the phone." And he's like, "Honey, where are you? There's music. Have you been drinking?" And he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that." She hangs up. But they do have a very broken marriage, as was referenced before. But this issue is very decompressed. I wrote here. There is a lot of panels of Batman and Robin just kind of traveling through the sewers on top of a subway car, that kind of thing. None of it's important. There's a lot of monologuing in this issue in particular that just seems to go on way too long. Batman goes to the spot where he and Selina first met, and then he's like, "Oh, I'll take care of you. She's small and perfect," he says, which seems like a weird thing to say in that moment. Small.
Not where they first met, it's where they first had sex, I think.
Oh, is that it? The first time? That's where they had sex?
Yeah, in his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lair back there.
It is a very Ninja Turtles lair.
I didn't piece together that that's what that meant.
I see.
The first time they had sex was in this dirty sewer with the Ninja Turtles watching.
That's right. They had some pizza afterwards.
Radical!
So then the next few scenes are... Boy, all right, just kind of out of the blue here. We cut to Batgirl, who is Jim Gordon's daughter. She is stealing a skateboard from some local drug dealers. It's like an arcade area that she's talking about. Like, oh, they wanted to build something nice for Gotham. They didn't know not Gotham. It just like turned to shit instantly. And she there's tons of profanity. Half of her dialogue is like blacked out because it's like.
It's blacked out, which is funny because like I had my notes like before that. Batman calls Dick Grayson a little snot, and every time the word snot is said here, they meant to say shit, and then they edited themselves. And now at this point, the book does not care. It's just like a lot of, it seems like it's just the word fuck over and over again. Although I think the C word's in there a few times, which would make sense for it to be in England again. So
yeah.
Exactly. This is our greatest conspiracy theory ever. I love it. But like 2 issues ago, they even had that little jokey editor's note being like, we can't say what he really said, but it's an impossibility of human anatomy. You know, basically saying go fuck yourself. And now at this point, he's like, I'll just bleep it out. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it.
It's a 16-year-old saying it. Who cares?
Yeah. So then Batgirl.
She says the city does belong to the blanking Batgirl. She's not the goddamn Batgirl. She doesn't get that honorific.
Oh, she's the fucking Batgirl. Whoa.
She's the shitting Batgirl.
I don't like that.
I was going to say the C wording Batgirl.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. But there would be Guano Ink Batgirl. So
that would be a good Harley Quinn style joke.
Yeah.
Have somebody say, "I'm the shitting whatever," and just like, what?
So the Batgirl, what's her real name?
Barbara Gordon.
Barbara Gordon. Thank you. So Barbara is like, all right, I've taken these drug dealer stuff. The crowd can handle them now, and she just like leaves. And then we get this scene of Black Canary, which I can't tell if this scene is part of the last scene or it's just cutting away to a separate scene.
The caption says right around then. So.
Okay.
I don't understand what's happening.
But she is
a lot of words.
She is. Oh my God! It is words. She is hunting down these drug dealers, and she is. She's burning their drug money, and she keeps talking about Lisa and Maeve and Ruth, and I'm not sure who they are, but okay, cool. And it's just, oh boy, it's a few pages of. Couldn't figure out what this was or where it was going.
This is another one where I think Frank Miller forgot that she's supposed to be Irish, and he really Irished up this inner monologue thing. He's adding in like grand and all these other Irish terminology because I think he must have gotten some note being like, she never sounds Irish.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Gordon's wife has gotten into a car crash. I guess it was drunk driving. Gordon gets to the crime scene, but his wife is already in an ambulance on the way to the hospital. And he's like, tell them to reroute to this other hospital 2 blocks further away. It's better. Okay, fine.
They take our insurance.
For whatever reason, that really like struck me as like, that's a strange detail. Like, I guess we're trying to show that he still cares to some degree, right? But I don't know.
Well, he's also clever and understands like the way the hospital systems work, but also there's a lot of hospitals in Gotham, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So
Batgirl.
Meanwhile, Batgirl has decided to go back to those thugs that she beat up because the crowd is now being too rough with them. And now there's cops there too. But the cops are being like real rough with her and beating her up and they arrest her.
Yeah. So my question is, what crime did Batgirl commit here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I had no idea what was going on. I thought it was just a crowd beating him up, but where did these cops come from? I don't know.
They charged her with being in deep trouble, young lady.
One count of dressing like Batman, but a girl.
Yep.
and then again, she says, "There's no way in hell I'm bleeping my way out of this." I choose to assume she's saying, "There's no way in hell I'm shitting my way out."
Yeah.
I mean, right before that, it was bleeped with "He's gonna shit." He's going to shit. So.
Every bleep is shit in this book. That's
And I don't want to dwell on this too much, but again, I don't know. I think Frank Miller again is like just messing with us at this point with the temporal adjust. You know, all these. So, Batgirl has less than an hour ago. So. Less than an hour ago from a week later that the issue starts with. So it goes a week later and then it goes an hour previously and then it goes right around then for Black Canary and then it goes 7 minutes later. 7 minutes from what? 7 minutes from Black Canary showing up?
Yeah.
Or 7 minutes from the first hour after? Or 7 minutes after the initial Gordon scene? And then 6 minutes later for
Is this
the car
real?
crash.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my
The car
It's gonna
crash.
get more ironic here.
Gordon's wife's car crash. And then 13 minutes ago. 13 minutes ago from what?
Hey. The next panel, soon enough. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Can
wait,
I-
6 minutes later and then 13 minutes ago? Is it 13
Yeah,
minutes
minus
after
7?
the 6 minutes later?
He's fucking with us. He's cashing a check.
Yeah.
And then he says soon enough. That's when I'm like, he's fucking with us.
He's fucking
Yeah.
with it. I did not recognize or register like a single one of these timestamps, probably because I'm scarred from the first 6 issues, and I knew they wouldn't matter, and my brain just blocked them out. That's
Your brain was correct to do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
because
Has
it's like these scenes, like they don't make any sense. But then you think, well, if I look at the timestamps, then that's going to help. And no, it makes it more confusing.
it's worse.
Yeah.
Have Batman and Robin been in this issue?
They were
Yeah.
under the pier, and then on the trains, and then they
Yeah.
met
And they
Selena.
talked to Selena.
Okay.
Yeah, they had like
Yeah.
4 splash panels.
Yeah,
Was that it?
they had to make sure to enhance their. There's one more coming up. No, that's the
Yeah.
next issue we're reading in Detective
It's
Comics.
easy to-
663. Never mind.
Yeah, it's easy to forget them because they don't do anything.
Yeah, they definitely like stretched out their portion in this book with like way too much narration and some big splash panels, and I'm like, all right, that's enough
Yeah.
Batman for this book.
And it's, like the last one, I think you're right. Like definitely comparatively, like imagine reading that Green Lantern issue and being like, oh, do you think he's figuring his shit out? And then you read this and it's got all the worst stuff from all the previous issues. It's got like time is all over the place. There are way too many characters. And then when he just like can't figure out what to write, then he's got like Jim Gordon being like, we've got this city, Sarah, beautiful Sarah, like saying nothing. And then Batman says something like, this city is full of the deranged and all these child predators. And like, it's nothing. He's talking about a city that we barely see in this comic. And then Black Canary shows up and she's like, oh, Yvette and Jane and all these women that we've never seen before.
Do the Irish accent.
They were
Yvette and Jane and
don't
Molly
sell-
Malloy.
They
Don't
were
sit
very
on Maeve at the
Irish
Fight Club.
names.
She just
Yeah, it was-
she just starts talking about a Fight Club at one point.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what annoys me is he's trying to humanize basically these victims of human trafficking, but we never see any of them, and we never are introduced to them as a character, and we never will.
Yeah.
So
I do like so we've got just to keep score, we've got Catwoman who's beaten up. All her costume was strategically torn, apparently by the Joker. We don't know for sure, but so there's one sexy lady. Then we've got Black Canary, who we've already seen repeatedly, but she's riding her motorcycle around wearing fishnets. Then we've got Batgirl, who's called jailbait about 17 times,
Oh my
but
god.
is also drawn to be very hot. But don't worry, everybody, if that doesn't float
Yes.
your boat, how about a nice Jewish doctor?
Oh my god, this doctor with the shortest skirt I've ever seen. This is what.
Why is the doctor hot?
Why?
Are you saying doctors can't be hot?
I'm not saying.
Here's my theory.
But
Okay,
why?
I've got a theory. It's late at night, right? There is. We know that Gordon's wife has been out on the town clubbing or whatever, right? So maybe this doctor has gotten called in. She was on call and she wanted to have a night out clubbing as well, but she got called into work. So she was all
She got
dolled
called
up.
in for the police commissioner's wife getting
Yes.
in a drunk driving accident. It's a very
Yes.
high profile. You need to come
Very
in.
high profile. Yes.
It's like, I don't
So
wanna-
she had to
I'm
come
out.
in.
I'm out with my husband. Thank you very much.
Maybe that's why Gordon chose to have it rerouted to this hospital, because he knew there was a hot doctor here.
That makes more
That
sense.
makes sense.
You're gonna
Yeah.
love this one. She wears a leather mini skirt and heels on her calls.
She's the best.
So he's trying to talk to this doctor, and one of the other cops comes in and is like, "Hey, I got your daughter on the line." He's like, "I can't talk right now." He's like, they only give her one call. And she's like, I'm trying to pay attention to this doctor here.
Chris, as a lawyer, do you really just get one call, or is that like just like a fiction of like comic books and other media?
It depends. In general, it depends on the different jail you're in. But in general, no. If the call doesn't go through, they're not gonna be like, sorry, no more calls. Like calls used to cost money, they don't anymore.
We spent 25 cents on you on this payphone. We're not spending another 25 for you to get another call going.
Yeah, I'm going to make a long distance call, and you're like, "Are you crazy? This is going to cost me like $1 a minute."
So Gordon is talking to this doctor. The doctor says, like, she's basically got to stay in our care. If we try and unplug her from the machine, she's going to die. But that also is going to require detox, and we can't make her do it. You're going to have to talk to her and convince her and all this. And he's like, oh, boy, I got a lot to do. And then he registers all of a sudden, like, wait, they give her one call. What? And he realizes what's going on. He runs out to see her in jail.
Pretty damn soon he does, according to the caption.
Very quickly. How? Oh, pretty soon, yes.
Pretty damn soon.
Pretty damn soon.
I wish that had a bleep in it. That would have been hilarious. Pretty shitting soon.
Pretty shitting soon. Yeah. So Batgirl says she doesn't want her dad's help. She's going to plead guilty because she meant to do what she did, which I'm still not positive what she's guilty of, but she did it.
Well, she was charged with dressing up like Batman because he looks cool. That's what she said.
She is guilty of that then.
Yeah. They talk about Mom for a bit and what's going on with her, and Batman's like, Batgirl says, you should just call Sarah. And he's like, oh, how does she know about that? But she's right, I should. And so he spends the last page of this entire series on the book with Sarah talking about how it's nice to hear her voice. To be continued, except it never did. Wow, what a final issue.
One long, lonely walk later. Timeline date. Nick, you really called it out good.
One long, lonely walk later.
Jesus.
Lonely walk where? Where did he go?
Home, I guess. He's alone there. He doesn't have his wife there. Doesn't have his kid there. His kids. Boy, that's the life, huh? Kid in jail, wife in a coma.
Still in the hospital waiting room.
Wife in a coma, kid in jail, and talking to your sexy girlfriend.
Yeah, I'll just go to my home that has medical posters on the wall.
Okay. I wasn't paying attention. I guess he walked back to the. Well, now hold on. What if it's a long, lonely walk to get back to the hospital? How is it pretty damn soon to get to the prison? I guess
he Ubered and then he felt like emo.
Yeah.
He's like, I shouldn't splurge on an Uber now. This is
Gotham's pretty walkable except for the murder clowns.
Maybe the trains have stopped running because it's England and the trains stopped running. He didn't want to take the night bus.
They call it the tube in Gotham.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, the only people who use cars are Batman and Gordon's drunk wife.
It's kind of queer to drive a car.
This is the mayor's public transportation campaign. It was like, what, you driving that queer car everywhere? Go on the subway.
And then it just has Mayor of London underneath it. Yeah.
Well,
that's why Bane kidnapped him in the next comic we're going to talk about.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's All-Star Batman and Robin. Any final words on this before we go on to Batman Knightfall?
I spent $40 on this.
Oh my god. Why?
And I bought issue 1 twice. Really, I spent $44 on this book.
Oh my god.
In 2000s money.
I know.
Yeah, that's like a video game.
Mm-hmm. I could have bought Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
That's on sale all the time. You could have gotten a lot of stuff.
I could have got 2 copies of Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
You could have bought a 6-year-old Switch game marked down from $50 to $40.
I know. Every day is Mario Day.
Yep. But I think we were kind of talking about it, and it did. Even this last issue, it was at least very focused on Gordon, other than the other weird shit that had nothing to do with anything. But like throughout these last 4 issues were just so much more focused than the first 6 that it made them a lot more readable, even if they were still fucking dog shit. I'm sorry, shitting dog shit. Yeah, that's all I've got. What about y'all?
I think I know Miller. We said like Miller's fucking with us. I think Miller did a lot to damage his legacy with this book. I'll say.
Yeah.
So like this was basically where the end where I like stopped trusting that Frank Miller would potentially be a good writer. But like in context, I think it's very interesting. Like all this like Batman loving his job of like striking fear into criminals. It feels very much like of the Nolan era, the Chris Nolan movies where Batman was like, I want to scare the criminals. I want them to be terrified of me. And then I think like interestingly, like I don't know if y'all have y'all seen the Robert Pattinson Batman movie? And that's where he like starts is like, I want to strike fear into the criminals. And then somebody says to him, and kind of like Green Lantern does in this book, is like, everyone is terrified of you. Like even like the people you're trying to protect don't trust you. They're scared of you. Like you need to like give them hope. You need to like turn and not be so fucking scary all the time. And it's just like an interesting like way that like where Batman has come in the last 15 years to like that's where the new Batman movies are like you have to like give them some type of hope and not just be like an agent of terror to everyone. And I think that like this book is like very rooted in that concept, that original concept. And I like that we've moved past that. So I think that's cool.
Yeah. Chris, how about you?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. I think he's trying to be funny in this back half. And it's just like Jim Lee's art, like he just didn't tell Jim Lee, like, this is a funny book now. Like he just draws everything exactly like the script says it. And you're like, okay, super sexy doctor, you got it. And you're just like, what? Why? What's...
I wonder, is that like, I got a doctor there, like super sexy doctor. Got it.
Yep.
And
you also
Nick,
see a Star of David, so super sexy Jewish doctor.
I didn't even notice the Star of David. Thank you for pointing that out. Nick, any final thoughts from you on the book?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all over the place. I think I agree with Vince and Chris that he was trying to make this a funny comic. I'm not sure if that was his initial intention from the start, because it reads like Alan Moore's parody of Frank Miller's Daredevil.
Yeah.
But I don't think Frank Miller is quite self-aware to just basically be like, this is a parody of my own work. Because he can't quite help himself in that regard. Well, he's not quite self-aware enough, and he has the capability. Obviously, he has the capability of being funny, but at the same time, it's just tonally so all over the place that you're like, okay, well, where's the joke in, Robin, breaking Green Lantern's throat and Batman having to do an emergency tracheotomy, or them going to their grave, going to Robin's parents' graves or something like that. So he really just can't help himself in some sense. And so, there could have been something here, but again, if the joke was to set up so many different threads that he knows he's never going to pay off, then I guess it's funny in that regard, but I don't think that's what he intended. I think he intended to finish it. And in fact, they had been talking for several years that he's like, I'm going to finish this. It's going to be done. It's going to happen. And then it just never happened.
But like, who would have bought it? Like, I get it. Like from like we all, me and Nick, you and me bought issues of this and like didn't even bother to read them. Like that's so like,
no.
I wouldn't have come back for this.
I bought this specifically because it was bad, and even then I lost interest and didn't buy the last 2 issues. And there were 10 of them. It's not like it was a huge long series.
Vince, you say you didn't go back to this, but it's 15 years later, and we very specifically have gone back to read these comics.
We only went back to it because of this podcast.
Yes. So, maybe that's the market he was at the time writing for. Maybe it was podcasters 15 years in the future. He was playing the long game.
He's ahead of his time, yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be what it is.
He's like, he's comic books, and then we're gonna get people from a bad movie podcast together, and they're gonna read this, and they're gonna love it.
Miller knew. That's why we started the podcast.
I don't think Vince and Kia, have you seen Alan Moore's Frank Miller parody from 1983?
No,
I have. Yeah.
Okay, so Kia.
Oh, was it that contemporary? Wow.
Yeah, it's from the 80s, but yeah, it's I'm reading the caption right now. And I'm like, yeah, this is basically what the All-Star Batman and Robin. He's like, yeah, sure, buddy. This is New York City. I bet you think all the houses are made of gingerbread and it rains pistachio ice cream, right? Yeah, I bet that's what you think. Well, listen, anybody who talks like that is stupid. Only a moron would think of something like that. What are you, some sort of R word? Don't make me laugh. This is basically how every caption.
Maybe we should that a year from now when we have Nick back on the show again. We'll read the Alan Moore parody of Frank.
I mean,
Miller.
It's like 5 pages.
Yeah, you know, we can pair something else with it.
We'll fill it in with some Judge Dreads or something. It'll be fine.
We have been wanting to read some Judge Dredd, haven't we? I feel like that's always been on my list.
Yeah.
Never seen one of those movies either.
The new one was good. The one that
you should watch the 2012 one. Yeah,
I can say it's been over a decade.
It's really good.
Still newer in comparison.
They're gonna make a sequel, I bet.
But that's enough Batman. I think it's time we move on to some Batman. We are continuing our long read of Batman Knightfall, the first big part, The Broken Bat. We have read the kind of prequel Bane origin story, and now we are on chapter 10 of 11 with the Broken Bat part here. Last time Nick was on the show, he also took part in reading our long read with us, even though he was thrown in to the whatever random chapter we were reading. What was that last time, Nick? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember at all. It was some sort of Marvel comic.
Was it Amazing Spider-Man?
I think it was Avengers.
It was Avengers.
Oh,
yeah.
Some sort of Saga. Avengers. Yeah, it was episode 177 was the last episode Nick was on, by the way.
Yes. But you jumped right in and read Detective Comics 663 with us as well. Do you feel like you had a pretty good handle on what was going on?
This one was pretty easy to follow. Yeah. I don't know what happened before it, but this was a pretty good self-contained story. So it was a fun read. A lot of stuff happens in it, actually.
Yeah. I guess, for the sake of this show, we're getting close to the end. Let's recap kind of what's been going on in the first 9 before this. Bane wants to take over the city. He knows that Batman is essentially in charge of Gotham, so he's made it his goal to take out Batman. He has done this he's planning to do this he has staged a breakout of Arkham Asylum. So every villain is out and about, and it has made Batman very, very tired. Currently, Batman has been trying to save the mayor from a plot that the Joker and Scarecrow hatched together. I feel like Joker and Scarecrow are barely even mentioned in this issue, considering it's their plot. But he rescued the mayor, except now they're being swept through the sewers with a bunch of water.
Very clean sewers.
Very clean sewers. I was thinking about this as well. This water is very nice. I would go swimming. It looks like it would be good for tubing, actually.
Yeah, you know what it wouldn't be good for, though? Green Lantern. Too yellow.
Very yellow walls. Yeah, he'd be stuck down here. So he's like, oh my God, it was a trap. They're being swept down the sewers. They latch onto a ladder on the side of one of these walls, which it kind of looks like a big, nice pool, doesn't it? And he's like, all right, Mayor, hold on to this. I'm going to go look around. And he swims down into the water. He uses his cape to tie up the mayor to kind of keep him safe, which is also nice, has a double purpose because now he's able to move through the water a lot better. Very nice. Good thinking, Batman.
They have a lot of good visual continuity with what they're going to do with the cape. And I was like, oh, he took his cape off. It looks really good when he's swimming without the cape on.
Yeah.
I feel like this era, they detach that cape a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's a good visual touch. But Batman finds this tunnel walkway underneath the water and says, okay, he goes back to the mayor, says, we got to swim down, find this path and get up through there. Are you strong enough to do it? And he goes, no, I can't. So he has to wrap up the mayor again in his cape, give him a little air bubble and carry him while they swim together.
He mentions that he has a few minutes of air in that cape.
Yeah.
When to me, it looks like he's suffocating inside the cape.
No.
I'm sorry,
he's breathing very slowly. That's what he's doing.
Chris, do you have some science to drop on us?
Yeah, he said he's got air in that cape.
No, I see.
When you put it that way.
What is his cape made of as well? Is it I guess water won't seep through there? Yep. It's waterproof?
I guess not.
Yeah, okay. It's covered with the same stuff you put on your truck beds. That kind of
wow.
Waterproof, yeah.
It's a weather
Very
guard.
smart. Very smart.
It is smart because he is it rains a lot in Gotham. He's up there on the rooftops. You don't want to just soak into your cape the first time you get wet.
Yeah. So Batman has to kind of perform a feat of strength to get out here. They find the tunnel pathway. He has to swim up some stairs. They get to this big latch, which is like a circular kind of thing you open up, but it's stuck. It's rusted shut. And he's trying to open it while he's got the mayor on his shoulder, and the water is still coming up, and he doesn't even get it open. I feel like it would be harder after the water is like up and in there. No, but I don't know. He manages to do it. He's just that damn strong.
I love his narration. He's like, it can't end like this. This would be very disappointing for Batman to die like this. Not with the Joker. Fuck that. That'd suck.
Yep.
So I appreciate Batman's narration here.
It's pretty good. So he manages to escape. He drops the mayor off on like a pier or something, and no, he just like walks up the stairs, leaves him. That's what it is. Yeah. The cops all find the mayor later, and the mayor's like, "Oh, Batman saved me. He was so nice. It was so good, and he was so strong." And so now Batman is fucking exhausted, like he has been for the last 9 issues. And he is stumbling home on the rooftops, and the Bane's henchmen are on one of the other rooftops spying on him. It's a Bird and Trog. Is that his name, Trog?
Yeah.
And the knife guy. What's the knife guy's name?
Zombie.
Zombie? All right. Cool.
He's the old man who's the narrator of the Bane special.
That's right, way back when. So they're watching from another rooftop. I feel like Batman, even being tired, would have noticed them on like another nearby rooftop, but whatever. This issue is very, very Batman focused. I think the only scene that's not Batman focused is this one with the ventriloquist and his little sock puppet that is a temporary replacement for his Scarface puppet.
This character has an Irish accent.
Does he?
Yeah, well, the cop.
The cop does. Yes, the cop puppet.
And I can just do that, and then shoots the lock.
Yes, they go to the police evidence locker, and they are looking for Scarface, and he I thought he doesn't shoot at the cop who's sitting there. He just shoots at the lock. Is that it?
No, he kills the cop.
He kills the cop. Yeah.
And it did make me laugh because the only reason this works is because that cop never looks up and sees that it's a cop puppet. Because it's so funny how that Scarface's ventriloquist is like, all right, I got to get a police puppet as a disguise.
I do also wonder, it's like we've been following the ventriloquist throughout the majority of this book, and we're practically at the end of this. I'm not sure how this Scarface is going to come into play at all, because it feels like we're practically at the end of this thing.
Yeah, right.
We'll see.
Scarface defeats Bane.
Oh, thank you, Scarface. So Batman, I thought Batman was stumbling home on the roof, but he just stops to take a rest and leans up against a wall. Some birds are hanging out on the roof. And then
he's trying to do a short rest.
Yeah.
Yes.
In D&D.
I see. Yes. And he sees a falcon up ahead, and he's like, "Wait a minute, didn't Robin say something about one of Bane's henchmen being a falconer?" And then they start to attack him. Trog attacks him. He tries to he cracks a rib by giving him a big old bear hug. Batman has to let out a little gas pellet that causes uncontrollable nausea and disorientation. And Trog falls off a roof, and Batman kind of gets away from him. But then he gets attacked by Zombie, the knife guy, who has a bunch of very small knives. It's kind of unusual to me how tiny these knives are. Like I don't know. But he first throws like a warning shot at Batman that lands right between his fingers that are his hands pressed up against a wall, and it goes between his fingers there. And I'm wondering why he didn't just actually try to hit Batman. I feel like he could have. That would have been great, right? Aren't you trying to soften him up? Could have gotten an arm. But no, he says this was just to show you how good I am, so that you have some intel on me before we fight, I guess. But Batman has no trouble taking care of this guy. There's more cape stuff. Batman takes off his cowl and kind of uses it to trick the guy into thinking it's Batman, kind of flying down at him. But Batman's behind him. Nice job, Batman. Now, here's my question. Is the cape attached to the cowl?
It can be.
Well, he took it off.
Yeah.
In the water.
Yeah, he took it off in the water.
Yeah, he took off the cape in the water, and it wasn't attached.
I think it's Velcro. He must have like a Velcro attachment.
Oh,
Yeah.
Velcro would make sense.
You're not questioning how it's like standing up on its own, but we're questioning how it's attached.
I don't think it's standing up on its own. I think it's falling down like a large fabric, kind of like slowly, like will kind of parachute its own self down.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
So the previous page looks like it's falling, but then, and then he sneaks. Oh, the legs. He sneaks up behind that guy. Okay, cool.
Yeah. That part all makes sense. It's just the Velcro. I feel would. I guess that the Velcro makes sense to me. But he also, this guy. Go ahead.
He puts that right back on immediately after he kills that guy.
It's very quick. It's very.
He
quick.
doesn't kill him.
He knocks him out. He gives him what looks like an Alabama slam from a very weird position where he bashes his face down into the floor.
Sure.
He then has to deal with Bird. Well, first he has to deal with Bird's Falcon, who kind of rips at him a little bit, and he's like, let me get away from this guy. He jumps in to a window into this big empty warehouse where now he has to fight Bird himself. A lot of good hand-to-hand combat.
Nick, Bird is like Robin because they're both birds.
Oh, I get it.
I explained this to Vince like 7 chapters ago.
No. I look really smart to Nick. Don't ruin this for me.
Bird is like Robin because they're both birds. So Bird is talking a lot about like, this is gonna be too easy. You're supposed to be super mighty, but I'm beating you up. And then Batman starts beating him up.
And Zombie's kind of like Alfred, and Trog is kind of like
Trog.
Trog is like Black Canary. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
People are always calling Trog Love Chunks.
Yeah. Trog and Bane are always making out.
Very good early 90s mullet on this guy, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Robin, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And on Bird.
That's right.
I know they're both birds. It's hard to confuse them.
They're both birds.
Yeah.
So Batman finishes punching out Bird, and he's asking questions like, who is he? What does he want with me? Answer me. But he's punched him out too much to get an answer. So he heads home. It's a comment about like, Alfred doesn't want me to wear the costume upstairs. I promised I wouldn't. So he like, puts a rope on over it, and he heads up through the clock, and Alfred's on the floor. And he's like, oh, Alfred? We hear a voice that Batman recognizes. He goes, that voice, and the voice says, I left him alone. It is not your underlings I want. It is you. And
Abraham Lincoln, what?
Yeah. I was trying to do the Bane voice. Come on.
James
The problem was I could understand what you were saying.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
I
didn't do it well enough.
There was a podcast, I think it was Doug Loves Movies, did quotes, and it was Bane or Lincoln, and he would do it in that voice. And
Lincoln Bane would be a good.
It's a good wrestler name.
Yeah, Lincoln Bane. Oh yeah. But yeah, that's the end of this issue. Good cliffhanger because we know we're heading into the last chapter. We know how it ends, but we're in for it here. Again, I don't know how ventriloquist is going to play into any of this, but maybe
he's going to be the new Batman, right?
Is he? Scarface is.
He's been in this story more than Jean-Paul Valley has.
Yeah, he has. Our good friend Dr. Simpson's Flanders wasn't in this issue either. We didn't get to introduce him to Nick. That's too bad.
Yeah, Nick, there's a character named Dr. Simpson's Flanders who the Batman DC Wikia thinks might be a reference to The Simpsons.
Possibly.
But yeah, I'm excited to get into this finale here. It definitely felt like a very focused issue, even compared to all the others. They were all fairly focused here, but this one was so Batman centric compared to the others that it was nice. A good one for Nick to jump in on. Nick, why don't you give us your thoughts first on this issue?
Yeah, I thought, only reading this one issue, I thought it was actually a really good self-contained story, and definitely a good palate cleanser after reading All-Star Batman and Robin, something I've read the entirety of, and this made a lot more sense just as one issue than that entire series did. Like, I understand more of what's going on just from this one issue than I have reading All-Star Batman and Robin several times.
Yep, that sounds about right.
And the art looks really good and clean. I actually really like it.
Graham Nolan was it?
Yeah, and I don't think we mentioned Chuck Dixon wrote it. Yeah, Graham Nolan on art.
Yeah. Graham Nolan, I think he's filling in this issue. I forget because he becomes the regular Detective Comics artist pretty soon, but I think it's a little later than this. It may have already happened. I could be wrong, but because I know, I mean, we've got the classic Batman artist that's been doing it for like forever is doing one of the books, but I thought someone else was doing. I thought Norm Brayfogle was doing the other, but
he did well, and they were having like the same artist do like 2 issues in a row for a while, like both Detective and Batman earlier in this run.
Mm-hmm.
But Jim Aparo is the next issue, and Jim Aparo was the Batman artist. Nick, if you remember, like the old NES, like Batman: Return of the Joker, with the Joker having like way too many teeth, that's Jim Aparo. He did a lot of the video game art.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, very classic, like 70s, 80s Batman look, and he's still working at this time in the early 90s.
Cool.
I will say the only thing about the art that felt slightly off to me is that compared to how worn and haggard Batman was in all the last few issues, he looked relatively fresh in this one, didn't he? Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, he's got some stubble.
I'm flipping ahead to the next issue. He looks great if you want haggard Bruce Wayne. He looks great.
Like great.
Look, great for you. What you want? You want a haggard Bruce Wayne.
I see.
You're gonna get it.
I'm looking forward to it. You know, he was swimming all this issue. Yeah. So he like got cleaned off. That's
nice exfoliation. Yeah. All the sweat.
Yeah. Yeah. My one complaint with the art, I think Renee Montoya is the only female character, and you don't see she's not wearing like a mini skirt or like a sexy outfit.
Yeah. That's a good point. Actually,
how are we supposed to know she's a woman? Come on.
She could be wearing heels. You can't see her feet.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's wearing like a big policeman's jacket and like a hat, and I mean, if you like that outfit, I guess
it's like a full-size jacket too. It's not even cut super short to be impractical.
No, yeah, it's like if you're into the fantasy of a lady cop.
Yeah. And why didn't they give like a different colored internal monologue box for her, where she's like, "This city, the Batman, we need him."
But like one word in Spanish and then the rest is in English.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's about right.
But yeah, with the art, I'm definitely a big sucker for this early '90s look for Batman with the gray, with the gray outfit and the yellow the yellow background on the Bat logo on the front, because this is the one that I grew up with. The first comic I ever picked up, and I don't know why my dad let me buy this, was a like a super dark and gritty 1992 issue of Batman. I think it was called Shadow of the Bat or something like that. But that was the first comic book I ever bought. And so, yeah, this is definitely the Batman that I grew up with. So I think I'm like, that's Batman. That's what Batman looks like.
That could have been one of the first appearances of Zaz, everyone's favorite terrible serial killer villain.
Hey, we covered that, didn't we?
He was in this series. He was earlier, yeah.
I'll have to fish it out and see what actually happens in that issue.
Yeah, he's created, and there's a like 4 or 5 part story arc where where Batman is locked into Arkham.
Ooh, like Arkham Asylum.
Yeah,
just like that.
Like the episode, the one with the fear gas of the animated series where he's locked in Arkham Asylum.
Yes, yes.
And speaking of Batman the Animated Series, this plays into that show too. But I feel bad for every single mayor of Gotham.
Yeah.
Literally every single one is kidnapped by the Joker or held for ransom or almost blown up, or even by jerkwads like the Clock King. Like, you got to feel bad about that. Like, imagine if you're like, what happened to this mayor? I was like, oh, he was killed by the Clock King. And you're like, oh, man.
I mean, you know what you're getting into with the job, if you can't handle the heat. Stay out of the mayor's office.
Why do we still not have any ballers on our bike lines? Well, the mayor who said he was going to do that was murdered.
Oh, that's why Gotham
a giant luchador broke his back. So, no bollards.
Sorry. Well, I think that's anything else to say about Batman before we start to wrap this thing up?
No, I'm excited though. I'm excited for that. We don't know if this will be the end of our read, or I think Knightfall is 19 issues, but the big issue that we could have a jumping off point is next issue.
Yeah, so we're going to decide after that if we're going to pick a new long read or if we're going to do a little bit more Knightfall before we jump to something else. But we'll let you know next time. We're going to read it first and then go from there. But what is our main read next time? Our main read is going to be a Ghost Rider series from 2018. It's is it called Cosmic Ghost Rider?
It's called Cosmic Ghost Rider. Yes.
It's from 2018. It is about the Punisher inheriting the spirit of vengeance and becoming Ghost Rider in space. Great.
Hell yeah.
Sounds like a blast. Written by Donny Cates, art by Dylan Barrett. Dylan Burnett. Yes. So we'll see what that's all about. And of course, we're going to finish off Batman Knightfall with chapter 11 in Batman number 497. So join us for that. And what else do we have going on? Chris, I always ask Chris what's going on with the Your Stupid Minds podcast, but instead I'm going to say, fuck Chris. I'm going to ask Nick. Nick, what's going on with the Your Stupid Minds podcast?
Thank you, Kia. Well, on the Your Stupid Minds podcast, we just released an episode on... What did we release an episode on, Chris?
Twin Sitters.
Twin Sitters, yes. This is the third podcast episode we've done of the Barbarian Twins. That is, what are their names? David and Paul.
Jason or
yeah, Peter and David Paul, according
to Peter and David Paul, who are the Barbarian Twins. And so this movie posits. You've seen Mr. Nan. You guys have seen Mr. Nan.
Yeah,
hold on. Can I back up? Can I back up for 1 second?
Yeah.
The Barbarian Twins, are they recurring characters in a movie, or are they filmmakers?
No, they are just two beefy guys.
Okay.
They're like two bodybuilders who happen to be twins.
Okay.
And
Golan
like
and
Mary Kate
and Ashley, and they do movies together?
Basically,
much,
yes.
yeah.
Except they're two big beefy dudes. And so some filmmakers in the 80s were like, hey, these guys are big and beefy. You want to be in a Barbarian movie? And they're like, duh, okay. So then they started doing, I guess, other movies that centered around them being twins. This one being basically just a wholesale ripoff of Mr. Nanny, except that instead of one beefy guy, there are two.
Steal from the best, right?
Instead of, brother and sister that they have to babysit, it's a pair of twins.
Oh, my goodness. Of course it is.
And this one posits a whole twin-centered cinematic universe where they're twins, they're babysitting twins, they're twins that help them, martial arts twins.
They open a restaurant employing only twins.
What's the name of this movie?
Twin Sitters.
Twin Sitters. Okay. Are they in the Twin Cities?
No, they're in Los Angeles.
What the missed opportunity.
The City of Angels. Not the City of Twins.
Not the City of Twins. Wow, that sounds like a great episode. What have been the previous movies you've done with those two?
We did, what was that last one that we did? Double Trouble?
Yeah, Double Trouble is where one twin is a cop and one is a criminal. And
God,
we
they
did
sound like Mary Kate and Ashley movies.
and we did The Barbarians, which is their barbarians in like a Conan ripoff.
Yeah, and we technically did a written review of DC Cab that they appear in.
Yeah, they're barely in that though.
Yeah, they're also in a deleted scene of what's that Tarantino movie?
Death Proof?
No. He wrote
Django
it,
and
but he didn't direct it.
No, the one with Woody Harrelson.
Oh,
Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers. Yeah, they're in a deleted scene of that.
Wow. I feel like I've learned a lot. Sounds like a fun episode. Vince, what's going on with you?
I guest starred last week on an episode of Super Switchheads, which is a Nintendo podcast. If you want to hear all about, we talked about E3. E3 is no longer happening. It's a big video game convention that's has got canceled. And I talked a lot about my exploits at previous E3s when I was a member of the video game press. And weirdly enough, I was on episode 203 of their podcast, and it's episode 203 of our podcast this week. So very exciting.
Did you refer to your exploits as Expo exploits?
Yes. Oh yeah, the
Perfect.
Electronic Expo. Yeah, whatever.
E4.
Expo, yeah, E4. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep. That was it. That's a good joke, and I stepped all over it. Kia, you had the better joke. Good job.
You didn't step. It's fine.
Super Switch Heads. Heads is with a Z, so you know it's cool. But that was a lot of fun talking about that and the new Zelda game coming up. So check that out. Yeah. And that's all I got. Kia, what you got? And maybe Chris, do you have anything to plug also?
Oh yeah. Chris, plug the new thing that I told you about today.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not coming up for another 6 weeks. But if you were in the great state of Texas, or planning to visit for Memorial Day weekend, Your Stupid Minds is going to be at Comic Palooza.
Ooh,
whoa!
That's awesome.
So
hey, plug them at plug us at that thing too.
Yeah.
All right,
I
will.
be at Bad Filmapalooza. We should be at Comic Palooza.
Yeah. What the hell? Vince and I are gonna show up and run you off.
Some of my friends have panels at Comic Palooza, but not this podcast.
Well, I filled out the application.
Oh, some of my friends filled out applications.
But yeah, to make it a little more comic centric, we're gonna be doing a live review of Catwoman with Halle Berry.
Very fun.
Ooh, and Sharon Stone.
And Sharon Stone, yeah. So that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, that'll be on Memorial Day weekend in Houston, Texas. We will be doing a Comic Palooza live event.
Wow, sounds great.
Exciting.
Sounds great.
That's awesome.
I don't have anything to plug. I have not filled out any applications. I did my taxes. Do your taxes, everybody. That's my plug. If you're waiting until you hear about it on a comic book podcast, you're fucked.
You got 3 days unless y'all have been rocked by a hurricane or a tornado, in which case I'm sorry.
Or if this episode gets out late, you got less time. So Vince, we got to get this episode out ASAP so people get their taxes done. We need to let people know.
You thought you were going to get an All-Star Batman a podcast, and here you get your.
This is a PSA.
Yeah. Pay your goddamn taxes.
Yeah. Edit that out. Put it at the beginning so people know there too, and edit it in every 10 minutes or so. But I think that's all I've got to talk about here. Listener, wait, no, hold on. I gotta thank y'all first. Vince, thank you so much. I love you.
Love you too, bud.
Nick, thank you so much for coming on. I love you.
I love you, Kia.
Thank you. Chris, I'm sorry I said fuck you earlier. I actually do love you.
Oh, what's that? I'm just drinking this lemonade.
All right, and I'm Kia. Thank you so much for listening, listener. We love you as well. You'll listen to us next time. I always say we'll see you next time. That's not true. I never see you. You'll hear us next time. That's gonna be my new sign.
We won't hear you. It's a one-way conversation.
But we want to hear you. Put a comment somewhere. We'll see it.
Somewhere, anywhere.
Somewhere.
Write it on a piece of cardboard and then die, and we'll find out.
Throw it in the water. I'll be waiting underneath the pier. And thanks so much for listening. Have a good night. Bye.